OG Flash, maybe Destro with a despoiler. Oh, maybe we'll get some brand new characters that are awesome like Wolf Spider. Hey there, fellow collectors, I'm Mark, and today we're gonna talk about are some predictions about what could be coming in 2026 for G.I. Joe Classified. And what we're gonna talk about today are the things we know that are gonna come because we've already seen some renders from some of them. We've had name drops for some of them, name reveals, all kinds of stuff. And then we're gonna talk about some things we think are gonna come, like traditionally speaking, you get, 2 OG 13 characters a year and maybe a repaint of one kind of coming around. Vehicles wise, 2024 and 2025, we got 6 vehicles and playsets kind of thing. So that can give us an idea what we kind of expect to have. But also we're gonna talk about what we want to have come, or at least what I want to have come, because I know I'm a big Flash fan and I've been waiting for Flash. Heck, I'll take Grand Slam that I can repaint into something that's more like Flash, all kinds of stuff. But we're gonna kind of go through some of these things. But I do want to tell you, I have absolutely zero insider information. All I'm doing is looking at this as a marketing professor, looking at someone that looks at Hasbro and say, okay, we have this line that's been very successful and we want to keep it going. So we can't give them everything because we want to string them along at least for another, 4 or 5 years of this really great classified line. Because let's be honest, we're getting towards the end of the nostalgia factor and we got to think about bringing them some new characters like Wolf Spider to get people excited. Hence why, Energon Universe, all these kind of things to keep talking about, all right? But let's get into what we already know is going to be coming in 2026. So the big things we know that are going to be coming, the HasLab, the Snowcat with the Bivouac, Arctic Lady J, Frostbite, and Arctic Flint. We know that's coming. That's probably going to get delivered July, August-y, who knows when it's going to come. It's going to be later in the year, but we're going to have that. Also, we have the made-to-order HISS tank that you can pick up. You got to put in your order. They'll make it. That's supposed to come around December of 2026. So we know we have those coming in. Then we have the mainline waves. And one of the great news for this year, 2026 coming, is the fact that we're going from 4 figures per wave to 5. That's right. So you figure we got 4 waves coming, and though we know the first wave already, we've got Lifeline, an old classic there. You got Big Lob, which we never had in the 3 3/4 inch line. We've got Hit and Run, another classic that I'm really glad they have him coming. Also, you've got the Night Viper, which is going to be, I think, looking at right now, could be in line for like one of my top 5s for 2026, for figures out there, but very cool. And then you've got Mole Rat Stage 2. Hey, we're not waiting for a new repaint. We're not gonna wait a couple lines in, no. First wave coming out, we've got a repaint coming in. So we have those, we know. Now in wave 2, the Hydro Viper that they've name revealed, they have that one coming out there, plus there'll be 4 more figures. Then in the third wave, this is usually that kind of like summer wave kind of thing to get us excited for our HasLab. They'll be getting delivered soon. That's when you have Iceberg. They've announced that one, plus 4 more figures there. And then another set at the end of the year or farther into the year. So we have that for those 4 waves. And now I'm going to talk about possibilities in there later, but this is things we do know we're going to have. Also, if we look at mainline deluxe figures, so we're going to have 2 more legacy figures coming. I don't know what it's going to be. We've gone through some stuff. I'm hoping for maybe like a pilot or something like that, but we'll see. Maybe a medic, so there's some ideas there, but we'll talk about that one in the future. Also, we know we already have 2 deluxe figures, mainline ones they've announced. Deep Six, I know, sadly they said Deep Six is going to be a mainline figure, like deluxe kind of thing, which means it's not going to come with the Shark now. Maybe the Shark will come later. Maybe we'll have the smaller Deep Six, like their version 2. We might have him coming with that one, maybe the future for the Shark, but right now it's just the deluxe Deep Six. So you got your deep sea diver kind of thing. Also for our Cobra La friends, the Cobra La Royal Guard, they've announced that as a deluxe one. And also there's going to be some more deluxes. You've got 2 pet sets. So is it going to be a repaint like Junkyard and Mutt for the Marauders, or is it going to be something else? I'm hoping for something different, but I'll still be cool with that. I like the Marauders line. But also they've announced there's other 2, so there's some 2-packs coming as well. So there's actually 3 2-packs they're saying. So could that be Army Builders? Could that be something else? We don't know yet, but that's those things there. Now, they do have the exclusives, so be prepared for the 6 figures you will not be able to get unless you get off work for that 5 minutes to actually open. Target is going to have 3 exclusives, and one is the Ninja Force Zartan, and then they have 2 2-packs. Now, will it be like the kind of lame ketchup and mustard divers, or will it be something more exciting? Remember, the Tiger Force line, Python Patrol kind of stuff, maybe they're going to make a comeback. That could be something there, but you have those. Walmart has 3 exclusives, but no words on if it's a 2-pack or vehicle or what's going on. But remember, they're the ones that have the Night Force line and, you know, the crystal ball with all the dire, you know, the dire wolf kind of stuff. You have that with those things there. You have that. Then the Fan Zone exclusive. This is the things that show up that only come through like Amazon or Hasbro Pulse or, you know, these other kind of exclusives. There's quite a few of those. Okay, I've seen a place where it's listed like 17 of them. But we'll see how many we get, because remember, they don't. The list they give you of all the possibilities doesn't always happen. But we know we've got Taurus and Red Dog. That's a 2-pack exclusive. That's going to be probably a Hasbro Plus, you know, kind of fan club exclusive kind of thing, or fan line exclusive you have there. And then there's, so far in what they've kind of put out, there's at least 2 vehicles and 2 2-packs. So are we going to get Sergeant Slaughter with somebody else? You never know, because they seem to like Sarge in a 2-pack. That Mercer one, that Sarge with a Mercer 2-pack, save that 2-pack right there, okay? You know, you try to make these videos and get them out as soon as you can. You do the editing, and there's always some things that can happen while you do these predictions. And since I filmed that video, and before I uploaded, they've actually announced 3 Arctic troop builders for the G.I. Joe Classified for 2026. You have one, it's an Arctic, basically Night Viper. You have that, which looks really cool. You have an Arctic Saw Viper, and it looks like they give him a bit of the kind of deluxe Snow Serpents, like, you know, wolf hoodie on there as well. And of course, would it be a G.I. Joe line if we didn't have a builder, if it was an Arctic Steel Corps? Yeah, so you have the Arctic Steel Corps Trooper as well. So you have 3 more things we know that are going to come. Now, I don't know if these are going to be individual, you know, releases, or it'll be a 3-pack for Arctic fun. I don't know. But since you still have a few days left to get the Arctic His Tank, I'm going to guess this is why they put that out, to inspire more Arctic His Tank sales. So that is kind of cool. I mean, I like the Steel Corps. That's one of the ones I like. I like how they have Big Ben's head for like kind of like the gas mask on there. The Saw Viper is always a good one, but that Night Viper, the Arctic looking Night Viper, I don't know if the names are going to be, but looks pretty cool. And it's pretty cool. They've already done a repaint for the Night Viper, and they haven't even released him yet. So I guess he's going to be a pretty awesome character. So back to the video that I filmed like 5 days ago. Also, we know they did announce Xenia, but they have not said that she was going to be a mainline, because I feel that would have kind of come out. So maybe that's going to be one of those fan exclusives. And we did see the little ski thing they gave us in Brazil for what could it be. And that's probably, looking at it, that looks like the front or the back of the swamp ski, or the chameleon, as I like to call it. So I could see them, instead of having another repaint of Zartan, because we already have the Ninja Force Zartan coming, maybe we'll have Xenia with that, so that could be something there. And then the retro card line, we've got 9 figures out, or at least scheduled to come out. You figure we already have 3 they've announced. You got the female Crimson Guard, you've got the Crazy Legs, and you've got Zap from the OG-13. So you have that in there. So you figure we're probably going to get an OG-13 repaint in there. Maybe we can get Grunt. Don't get me wrong, I love my Grunt like this, but give me an old school Grunt. Maybe they can sign Micro Ironside to get his face sculpt to put in there and make it perfect. But we have that. So that's what we do know is going to come in terms of 2026. Now it's time to kind of speculate on what those figures could be that we don't know about yet. Now, when it comes to speculation, sometimes the speculation is almost like a guarantee. And that is one guarantee we know we always get every year. We get Snake Eyes. We get some kind of Snake Eyes. I'm personally partial to this kind of like Green Pants version 2 deluxe figure that came out. He's my kind of go-to one. I really like him, though the polar bear one with the hands is nice. The retro is cool too, but looking at it, we've looked over the years, we've averaged 2 Snake Eyes a year. Last year we got the version 4 and we got Snake Eyes Polar Bear. I think this year, if I'm kind of basing on what's out there, I figure we're probably gonna get maybe a retro Snake Eyes. And I'm going to say, if we're going to get a retro Snake Eyes, I'm going to say we finally get the retro version 2 Snake Eyes that everybody loves. You know, that's the one. I mean, don't get me wrong. People liked Snake Eyes in the OG-13, but people liked Flash and other ones too. But when they came out with the version 2 of Snake Eyes, that's when it went next level love for Snake Eyes. So I can see a V2. Now, I love this one here. However, the green pants, I'm like, come on, man. Come on. It's Snake Eyes. He's got to be in all black. I mean, give me the Commando with the Ninja. We're going to be great, okay? And then my other kind of prediction, well, it depends, because you think about it, you know, we have options. There's Ninja Force Snake Eyes. There's that one. And remember, Ninja Force, we got Ninja Force Zartan coming. We slice and dice with Ninja Force, right? You have these things. You can look at that. But you've got, you know, Ninja Force Retro Card version 2, like talked about that Arctic Snake Eyes to go with the Snowcat. I could see that. Give me Quinn's, you know, rodent necklace. That would be kind of cool there. You've got, what else? Version 3, right? That's another popular one. You can have that. So there are options, but for me, I think it'll be a retro version 2, and then maybe the Arctic one to give us something there. I know there's rumors of maybe one day, I mean, there's a development, theoretically, a AAA, you know, G.I. Joe game based on Snake Eyes. I figure that's something that's going to be coming down the line, but that's only when that game is actually coming out. So that's probably like 2029 Snake Eyes when we get that. But I figure we got 2 of those, right? And then looking at those exclusives, okay, we know Walmart exclusives are Night Force with Crystal Ball, you know, so you got Crystal Ball and Ghost Viper and all the Dire Wolf and the Dire Snake and stuff. You have that with the Night Force. My guess is we're probably going to get maybe a 2-pack of one of those Walmart ones because they like that. Probably repaint. So if I could get maybe like a Chuckles, you know, Night Force Chuckles with a Night Force Outback 2-pack, I think that would do good. Or maybe they throw somebody in there like a Psych Out or Sneak Peek, not super popular characters, but we give them the Night Force version. That could be a nice way to put it in. And I'll be honest, Outback is a very popular character, and the Outback Tiger Force one is really good, and the original, you know, is also really good for Outback. But I could see that being one there. But that's my kind of guess is like Outback Chuckles 2-pack could work, but the Outback and Chuckles I might think about more in the retro line coming out versus the Night Force line, but we'll see. So you figure we probably 1 or 2 of those Walmart lines will be Night Force, and the other one will be that kind of Dire, because Ghost Viper was new, right? So there could be something else coming out to kind of go with the Crystal Ball, those kind of like spooky kind of things there. So that could work. Target exclusives, you know, the Tiger Force line. Maybe we could get a Tiger Force 2-pack of a Lifeline. And maybe Jinx. I mean, Jinx, you could put her in her green outfit for her Tiger Force one. That'd be kind of cool. Honestly, if you're doing Rosscon and you see Jinx, she is worth picking up because she is actually a really good character. I really like this figure. That's one there. So you have those things. But remember, you got Tiger Force Zartan's gonna be in there. So maybe one of those 2-packs could be another, you know, Ninja Force kind of setup. I don't know who, maybe just ninjas in general, because we haven't had a ninja pack. Remember the blue ninjas and the red ninjas from way back in the early 2020s? Maybe there'd be something there. So just some ideas for the exclusives, at least for, you know, Target and Walmart. Now, the classified line. So if we've got 20 figures we're expecting to come out this year on the normal line, right? Some are going to be deluxe, so we got more with the deluxe. So you got figures that are going to be coming. And I think in general, I mean, I've been hearing for years that Flash is coming. Flash is coming. Look, 2020, when I got Pimp Daddy Destro, because that was the first one I got, like, I'm like, oh, just give me the Flash and Pimp Daddy Destro and I'll be fine. And then it became I had to have everything, and I'm still waiting for my Flash. So maybe if we look at that 2 OG13s per year on average, we've got 2 left. We got Flash and Grand Slam. So maybe we'll get those 2. I kind of think those might be something we'll get. Maybe Flash will come with the Jump Jetpack. However, I picked this up on Etsy. Like, you get some fantastic Jump Jetpacks just made by people, so I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't think we're going to get like a Mauler or a Tank in the HasLab this year. Spoiler for later on. But I think you could look at Grand Slam and Flash. At least one of those are definitely going to be on there. Another thing you look at, maybe Muskrat. That's, you know, trying to move a little bit farther down the line. That's a popular character later in the run. That's kind of good. Another thing I think is important to remember is you got Iron Grenadiers. Okay, Iron Grenadier was super big last year, but we didn't get anything in 2025, or nothing really. And so I'm thinking we're probably going to go back to that. Maybe the Destro with the despoiler, but that's going to be my vehicle part. But maybe another Iron Grenadier thing. Maybe an Iron Grenadier, you know, like Viper, or Iron Grenadier, you know, Soldier, something, you know, Voltar. Maybe Voltar, you know, could be in there. So there's going to be some other, I think, Iron Grenadier stuff, but I think the one that we're going to get for sure is like an Iron Grenadier Baroness. Why? We haven't had, I mean, yes, we got the Rattler, the flight suit Baroness, right? However, the thing is for normal collectors that don't want to spend $500 getting the Rattler and all the other stuff, they need to have another line. So I could see her coming out, some either Iron Grenadier Baroness or maybe an Arctic Baroness, I don't know, but some kind of Baroness out there. And you figure, since we have the Snowcat, we haven't really had too many Arctic figures lately, because we have the Arctic Bat, we have the Snow Serpent, 2 versions of him, but those are from a while ago. We have Iceberg is the only one announced. So I could see something, and, you know, Retro Card, I'm going to talk about that one for sure. I'm feeling it. But you figure you're going to have some other people. whether you're gonna have like put Avalanche out there or Stalker version 2 with his kayak, or maybe something in terms of the Arctic figures, you need at least a couple. Could it be the Arctic Snake Eyes and like an Arctic Duke or an Arctic Scarlet, you know, to have a female character? Could we have Snow Serpent version 2? You figure there's going to be at least a couple, at least 2, to go along with Iceberg to add to that kind of thing. And you figure, hey, army builders are good. Maybe that could be something in there, so you have something that way. Other thing I think is we do have, I think it's 85 line, we have Airtight. The last one that we still need to get from that Airtight's year, we don't have yet. And with the Mole Rat, we've got kind of the baggy suit. We have a lot of the stuff that can be there. So you figure, I'm guessing like Airtight would be probably one of those classified lines, like figures to really kind of get you excited, because, you know, Hydro Viper is probably one of the biggest ones people are waiting for, and that came out. So Airtight's one of the few like older ones that's not OG13 that people are still clamoring for. So I can see that. Now it's time to go on the retro line. So if I look at that, we already have 3, so that means there's 6 more retro lines to come. So remember, we got Zap, Female Crimson Guard, and Crazy Legs coming with his fantastic mouse sculpt. But I think one we haven't seen for a while is Roadblock, one of the main characters of G.I. Joe. And don't get me wrong, I've liked the combination of things. When I put all my Roadblocks together, I finally get a Roadblock I like. But I think we need to have a traditional V1 Roadblock with his right gun. Right, and we've had the right gun. We've had the right one with the little tripod thing, but it came with the Tiger Force one. I think we could see a Roadblock retro would be nice. I mean, obviously I don't know, but I think that would be a good one to put out to bring back something, get some more diversity in there as well, which is nice. Like I said, Snake Eyes version 2, so there's 2. I think we're gonna have, like, that would be, I'd guess. Then of course, they always have army builders in there. Now we've already had the Female Crimson Guard as an army builder, but I could see, I mean, we've had the Cobra Soldier. I could see maybe like the Cobra Officer, which to me is actually one of the best figures from the classified line. I love that Cobra Officer, he's awesome, but I could see something like that coming. And then we gotta be Arctic's time, and a lot of people missed out on that Snow Job because it was a kind of a Pulse exclusive, and it's expensive to pick up in the secondary market, but he's an awesome figure. But I could see a Snow Job retro. I think that's gonna be an Arctic figure that we could get there. But then I would really love to see, like I said, OG13, because usually they do some kind of repaint on one of them, because remember last year we got Breaker redone and Rock and Roll redone. Maybe we get Grunt. I mean, he's cool here, but this is a modern soldier. I want green shirt, and I will say, if you don't want to do that, if you pick up some of those green shirt Joes and switch that, do a head swap with Grunt, you get a really good Grunt out there, so you can do that. But I think someone like there, and then we have to think about some big figure, and I think it's time. Honestly, this is probably the most expensive one I got because I get in the aftermarket, but this Serpentor is incredible with the Chariot. But you'll notice all those Super 7s, they keep putting out Serpentors without the Chariot, so people will get it without the Chariot. So maybe this will be another one of the retro ones I think could happen. I mean, who knows when? I don't know. I'm just saying these are ones that make sense to me in terms of things we could be seeing. Now, those are figures. And I know some people don't count vehicles as figures and sets as figures, so I do have a separate part talking about what vehicles we could be thinking about coming in 2026. So in 2024 and 2025, we had 6 vehicles / playsets come out in each of those years. And so I think that's kind of like my number I'm going off of, plus a HasLab. Now, we already know Snowcat HasLab is coming out, okay? And that's the HasLab Plus. There'll be a new HasLab, I'm sure. I'll talk about that later. But you have that. But we have the made-to-order Arctic His Tank, okay? So that counts as one of the 6 plus the HasLab, right? So we've got, that's one we already know is coming. Now, looking at the other ones, okay, one thing you have to think about is, you know, the Xania and the Swamp Skier. That's my guess is going to be the Chameleon on there. So that's another one. So you got Arctic His Tank and the Swamp Skier. There's 2. And then Iron Grenadier, Destro, and the Despoiler. So you basically have something like this, but with Destro with his gold dome and the Despoiler, which would be kind of cool. So there's 3 out there. And then I think we're looking at a bigger one. Now, I don't know if this would be a HasLab, or this is going to be something more, you know, traditional Joe kind of like traditional release kind of thing, or maybe made to order. I don't know, but I feel like of all the stuff they did this year in 2025, they were in love with the Dreadnoks. From the Cold Slither, you know, San Diego Comic-Con exclusive to the concerts they had. I was surprised that Thunder Machine wasn't the HasLab in 2025, but I think the Thunder Machine is probably something we're going to get next year. So there's 4 for you in some other way. And of course, we have to think about sets. Now, I would love for a, you know, jump jetpack with Grand Slam set, that would be awesome. Like that's one thing I would really love to see. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what I would like to see. So let's say that's 5. That would be the one I have the least confidence in if he's saying this. And then maybe another throwback. Could it be the Polar Battle Bear to give people a kind of like, hey, a nice retro kind of vibe kind of thing? Or we've seen them a lot on the packaging of Fang, the helicopter. Maybe we finally get one of those with a pilot. I could see one of those coming. I would probably go with the Fang over the Polar Battle Bear. Why? Because the Polar Battle Bear isn't like something different. They've talked about this. You can pick up Ramen Toys. Has got a fantastic tank, and you can get that there. Why get a Mauler that costs more at Hasbro? Same thing when you're looking at a snowmobile. You can get snowmobiles all over the place kind of made. So maybe that one, it's hard for them to have like an exclusive vibe for it. So maybe that goes to the side. I would love to see it. Maybe you have Avalanche Frostbite or something like repaint of Snow Job on there. Maybe that's where the retro Snow Job goes. I don't know, but that could be something there. But I'm kind of leaning towards a Fang instead. But I think one thing that would be really nice for them to do is re-release some of the stuff like the Vamp. We all love the Vamp. I have the Vamp. It is amazing. I bought that and I was like, this is awesome. Clutch It's in there is super cool, but maybe they do a Vamp 2 if they don't want to do a real Vamp. Go to the Vamp 2 with the missiles on it. That could be a nice thing. I mean, it seems like they re-released the Stinger. You kept finding that in Walmart this year. Why could we find a Vamp again? Maybe it's because it's exclusive someplace. I don't know, but a Vamp 2 could be something else. All right. So those are kind of vehicles I feel that are going to be out there for that. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is HasLab. Do we think we're going to have one? And if we are, what do you think it's going to be? Now, when it comes to the HasLab in 2026, remember, now that we have the made-to-order kind of system here with that Arctic Hiss tank, I think that kind of throws things off a bit. Like, hey, maybe we're not going to follow the same old back and forth Cobra Cho, because we had the Joe HasLab and we got a Cobra made to order. So that means summer of 2026 in San Diego Comic-Con when they're announcing, or in Yojo June when they announce what the new HasLab is, I don't think we can say it's definitely going to be a Cobra thing because the last HasLab was Joe. I think now it's all up in the air. And after all the little, hints they gave us last year that totally led us astray, I don't think we can really say it's going to be a Cobra Joe thing in 2026. So it really opens things up. Okay. Now, in terms of what we could see, yes, with all the Cold Slither stuff, all the Dreadnought stuff, we could see Thunder Machine, which for me personally, I think is too small to be a HasLab, or maybe, God forbid, they make it an affordable HasLab, like a $200 HasLab and have a bunch of figures. Hey, that could work. Like, let's do that. We could do something there. Or do it like a 2-pack where you have the Thunder Machine and you throw in something else. Who knows? But you'll have, like, that could be an option there. Or we could go back to our old school debate, Mobat versus Mauler. Now that we got Steeler with that 2-pack, with Steeler and Short Fuse, I don't think Mobat's really on the table right now. Maybe in the future and give a retro version of them, but they did a good job with that Steeler. So there's that. So Mauler, maybe. But here's the thing. We always need the gateway drugs, right? The gateway drug of, oh, give us a figure that leads into it. So we look at in terms of, we get Deep Six. We've had, we've had we've had all these water characters. We got the divers, we've got the Hydro Viper, we've got, Torpedo, we got Wetsuit, which is a fantastic figure, by the way. Maybe that's a way of them saying like, hey, prepare your bathtubs. Some water machines may be coming. Water moccasin for a small one. I mean, that could work, but it's too small for a HasLab. I think this could be maybe that gateway into maybe a whale, or for me, I'd love the Cobra Moray Hydrofoil. That's what I would love to see. So you have those things there. But if it was my guess, if I was a betting man, I would say we're probably going to get the Thunder Machine, or if they go crazy and they really want to make some money and we're not going to complain about spending a lot, I think the whale. The whale is the whale when you think about these kind of things. Like what are, like you think of Unicron, when it was like huge kind of thing. The whale would be enormous. It would be enormous, but it would be something people really want. And the figures should go along with it could be really great. So that's kind of my thought of the HasLab for 2026. But what do I really want for 2026? Now, don't get me wrong, I would love some Mission Brazil stuff out there. I love Mission Brazil. I used to live there, so it's very near and dear to my heart. But in all honesty, my kind of like top 5 wishes for 2026, 1, Flash obviously my favorite figure. That's one I'd want. Going again with the OG-13, give me that Grand Slam with the jetpack. I'd love to see that. Third on my list, fast draw, you know, quick draw, fast draw. Basically, shooting missiles out the side. You gotta love him. That's what I love. In terms of going with an Iron Grenadier theme thing, I think the Target, I mean, come on, Target and Target, it's gotta be an exclusive deal. There's gotta be money to be made there for Target, right? With he's a fantastic figure. I love him from the Real American Hero line. That would be something on there. And then in terms of a kind of a theme kind of one, like an exclusive, I would love to get a Night Force Outback. Like those would be my like top 5. And then one bonus thing I really wish they do is come out with another new figure. Like Wolf Spider here is one of my favorite figures. Like let them explore and come up with some really new cool stuff to get us excited for newer characters. I'd love to see that. So those are my kind of like ones I would really like to see. But if we want to go into my betting man kind of things, and I'm actually going to film another video right here after I finish this, talk about what I'm betting on for next year. I think new figures are best bets. I think Flash is a pretty good bet. I think Airtight is a good bet. I think Iron Grenadier, Destro, the Despoiler, that's kind of a good one. I think I'm going to say 2 more Arctic figures to go with Iceberg. Okay, that's there. And then I feel there's going to be an OG-13 retro figure, like a Grunt or someone that they redo in the old green suit version. Like those are the ones I'm feeling I'm most confident that things would happen in terms of looking at it as a marketing person kind of stuff. There's that there. But if I want to kind of go new stuff that I'm getting crazy vibes for in my plastic mind here, a water vehicle. Even if we don't get the whale or something like that, but even if we get like the devilfish or the water moccasin, something like that, because we got Deep Six, so maybe one day we'll get the shark, something like that. I think that's another thing I'm getting good vibes for. The Snake Eyes, I feel like I can't even say there's going to be Snake Eyes because we know it's going to be Snake Eyes. It's kind of like saying the sun will come up tomorrow. It's pretty obvious it's going to be crazy stuff happens, but like we know we're going to get a Snake Eyes. But my bet on that one that I'm hoping for, that version 2 retro or some kind of ninja version of Snake Eyes, you know, to give me that version 2 kind of vibe. So there's those things there. And then my guess, I think if it's going to be a Batman for the HasLab, I'm going to say crazy and say Thunder Machine. So we'll have to come back in December of 2026 to see how I did, but I'm going to film this part. Like I even have my notes here. I have my notes here of what I want to make the video for, what I want to kind of mention. Oh, Airtight, I think we're going to get him too, but I don't feel as confident in that one. But I think that's, so you'll see I'll make a video about that. Then I'm going to then go back and forth with my 2025 self, with my 2026 self, to have a little fun video for end of next year when we have that. So what do you want to see in 2026 in terms of figures, vehicles, play sets, good news from Hasbro? Like, I don't know, maybe communicate with us with the emails about, you know, exclusives before they're sold out, not after they sell out. That would be nice. But let us know in the comments below what you expect for 2026, because I'm sure there's gonna be a little frustration in some of those exclusives, but I think we're gonna have some really fun figures because this line has been knocking out of the park for a long time, and I can't wait to see more. Excuse me, I can't wait to see more stuff come up out of me, but honestly, stuff come out of Hasbro. So let us know in the comments below, and thank you everybody that commented on our best and worst of 2025 and our best and worst figures. I know some of you were upset that I put Mole Rat Stage 2 as a 2025 worst. I completely get that because it's coming out in 2026, but I was just so disappointed by that, that mock-up that that's why it's there. So I do understand your dismay that I put that on there, but don't worry, that means maybe I won't put him on the 2026 list because I put him in the 2025. Who knows? Anyway, I wish y'all the best, and I do appreciate all your help and support. I did put some of the figures down below if you want to pick up some of these that we've been talking about that are already out. So if you want to grab those, or Amazon things, so you know I get like the 1% of the sale, but you can add to your collection as well. Anyway, I wish y'all the best. I'll say bye from here in the library.